You had kind of mentioned that you wanted to get away from the big lawyer situation.
Yeah.
Do you kind of feel now that with the firm being so large, it is too big, or maybe because you've grown with it, you're so comfortable in that setting?
Well, I think we're as big as we need to be. I mean, there are about 1,000 school districts in the state of California, and we represent 40 or 50% of them. So we are the biggest law firm representing school districts.
And then that's obviously the law firm specialization.
That's our primary specialization. About 2/3 of our lawyers, about 65% of our lawyers represent school districts.
Okay.
So it's a very interesting area of practice.
I mean, I know for me, as a district employee and knowing that we have a lawyer, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sweet. You know, it's always nice to know you've got someone who understands all those rows and rows and rows of law books. You can figure all that stuff out.
Rows and rows and rows of education
law too, on top of that. Yeah, the ed code and everything like that. But, you know, if I stop and think about it, I go, well, what would you do on like a regular daily, weekly, monthly, school year basis? What kind of things keep you busy? You know,
well, there are actually 4 different subspecialties in education law now. One would be personnel and labor matters and collective bargaining and things of that sort. The second is facilities. You can imagine whenever you build a building, lawyers have to be involved in that when there are construction defects. The other is special education, and special education is a really burgeoning area of school law. And then the last is tort liability. Somebody slips and falls in a school district facility, and you have to represent the school district in the lawsuits that follow. And we have lawyers who are working in each of those subspecialties now. So the area of school law is really expanded since I started practicing.
Yeah, because you know, if you go back a certain number of years, I'm sure it just seemed to be very a narrow focus, and now
it really was.
It, really is
it used to be county counsel handled everything. I actually started out with county counsel before going to legal aid, and then into the private practice. And now I think most school districts are represented by private law firms. So,
for ABC, what would you say within a regular school year, what would most of you, or well, you're the lawyer, what most of your energy and time gets spent dealing with which type of those areas?
Yeah, I deal mainly in personnel matters.
Okay.
So that's my specialty. But we have lawyers working in each of those areas on an ongoing basis. I work a lot with Dr. Smuts, the superintendent, in dealing with board issues, and that has become complicated to the open meetings laws and what school boards can do and can't do. So we do a lot of work in that area. And you know, Dr. Smuts is really good at seeking advice. I mean, what is the best way to go about accomplishing something? Making sure that we don't run afoul of the education code or other laws that are protecting various interests. So it really has been a good transition. I was a teacher, and I still wanted to be involved in educating, in the education of kids. That was really what brought me out of where I was, out of the poverty that I was in, was being educated. And I would encourage all you kids out there, work hard at school, and I think that is the way to do what you want to do with your life. So, you know, that's something that I'm committed to and continue to be committed to, not only in my practice, but also just in my life, my personal life as well.
Oh, that's great, and it's great to hear that, you know, you had an education background from, you know, some of the things that happened for you and your own personal successes, but then even going from being a classroom teacher to then now, you know, being on the the law representation side, that, you know, maybe you have a certain amount of compassion or a point of view that just a normal or a lawyer or an attorney that has never worked in a school setting, they can't understand some of those things. You have just some experiences to go back on, like, I know what that was like, or you can understand situations probably in a deeper level than an attorney who just knows this is the law.
No, when I'm, for example, I remember being a probationary teacher and you know, learning from those experiences, both the pros and the cons and the successes and the things that were not so successful. So in dealing in these personal matters, I think I have some empathy for what young teachers go through as they're trying to learn the ropes.
Yeah.
And I think I just have a passion for education, because I really believe that that gives a person opportunities in life. Back to Martin Luther King and Thurgood Marshall and Brown versus the Board of Education. Exactly.
Topeka, Kansas, 1954.
You got it. You were paying attention in history class.
If it wasn't for that decision, this classroom would not look the way it does.
And I wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now.
No, you wouldn't.
So.
Well, thank you for sitting in this chair and coming on the show. It's great to meet you.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for doing this. This is absolutely a fantastic program, and I appreciate you folks doing it.
Oh, cool. I'm privileged to be here. I'm just the lucky puppet that they prop up, and I get to say the funny stuff sometimes.
Well, a very good puppet.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we have some other guests coming right up, so stick around. You're going to be impressed.